Okay, I wanted to put this video together because there are still a lot of researchers proposing the same sensational theories about the so-called precision you find at some of these ancient archaeological sites, and educating no one in the process, because they're missing a key piece of information which changes the game completely. There it is, and this is not an insult to engineers. We are lazy by nature because we will always look for the simplest, least labour-intensive solution to any problem. And after visiting many of these archaeological sites around the world and taking a close-up look at their stonework, it seems the mindset of the ancient engineers was no different. So, some of the blocks in these Peruvian walls appear to have as many as 12 precisely interlocking sides, and if this was done with hammers and chisels, that would take a great deal of time and effort, which seems extraneous for something as mundane as a wall. Because of this puzzle, numerous alternative theories have been proposed for what you see here, including heating up the blocks, bags of geopolymers, and softening the stone with chemicals. There are numerous problems with all of these theories. First of all, molten rock vitrifies. It turns to glass. And that is not what we see here. So all of the theories regarding heating these blocks, using chemicals or otherwise, aren't off to a great start. Secondly, if you were building these walls using geopolymers, i.e. an ancient concrete mix that could be poured into molds, you would probably make the blocks all the same size, just like we do today with bricks or breeze blocks. This helps with planning, logistics, construction, and of course economics. And thirdly, these smaller stones beneath the larger stones simply wouldn't be needed if the ancients actually used self-leveling bags of cement. There are other theories, some far more colourful, but the one thing they all have in common is that they're based on the assumption that the polygonal faces represent 3D blocks. In other words, each block's multi-faced profile is the same all the way through the joint and mirrored on the other side of the wall. Upon closer inspection, this is not actually the case. Where the walls have been dismantled or opened up by seismic events, it's obvious that the side you don't see has simply been backfilled with rubble, gravel, and sand. If you visit Peru, you may notice that you can only ever see one side of these polygonal walls, because the workers who built them created the outward appearance of 3D precision only. It didn't matter what happened on the other side, because no one was going to see it. So in many cases, these are not 3D blocks as such. They're more like big fragments of rock, each of which had one decent face that could, with a bit of work, be made to fit alongside the others in a wall. The estimates regarding the construction time of an Egyptian pyramid are based on the same assumption as the polygonal walls in Peru. The good quality of the exterior casing stones extends all the way through the entire pyramid structure, and the same quote is heard again and again. 2.5 million blocks, each weighing 2.5 tons, 20 years to complete the job. Again, this may not actually be the case. Where the casing stones have been removed, it's obvious the underlying masonry is nowhere near the precision of the casing stones that once covered the entire structure. Areas exposed on the bent pyramid are clear examples of this, and filler can even be found between the blocks on the pyramid of Khufu. It's possible that excavating further into these pyramids may reveal progressively poorer and poorer blockwork until only rubble is found. This is not a criticism of the ancient engineers. If rubble is found at the core of these structures, it was originally going to be concealed by the casing stones, and just like the walls in Peru, no one was ever going to see it. We also know that the architects of the Giza Plateau sensibly saved time and labour by using 2 rocky outcrops as the foundations for the Khafre and Khufu pyramids. If the pyramids were filled with rubble, as suggested by some, there's another advantage: waste disposal. Mine tailings are the potentially hazardous byproduct of mining operations, and if left in a pile and exposed to the elements, can produce chemicals, ammonia, sulfuric acid for example, depending on what's being mined, which could leach into the local water supply and create lots of problems. We know the ancient Egyptians were mining gold, silver, copper, and other ores, and it's possible that they weren't going to risk polluting the Nile, which was not only their source of water for drinking and irrigation, but also fish, and the very rich and fertile black mud from the river's alluvial deposits. The Red Pyramid is located a short distance from the Bent Pyramid at Dashur. Drip marks can be seen on the walls of the internal chambers, which suggest that something collected on the undersides of the corbelled ridges then ran down the walls. Rain could again explain these drip marks if the tight-fitting casing stones were removed and the Red Pyramid's remaining structure then exposed to the elements. Rainwater may have found its way through the rougher internal blockwork, then into the mine tailings and started the leaching process. It's also very difficult to ignore the smell of ammonia during a visit to the Red Pyramid, which has been attributed to bats, dogs, and even guards. Waste disposal may not be the most sensational or reverential interpretation of these awe-inspiring structures, but it does make a great deal of sense. Building pyramids this way would take a fraction of the time compared to pyramids with precise or even only half-decent blockwork throughout. Any internal chambers could be constructed upon either masonry or a natural rock formation beneath, or even a combination of both, and the waste from quarrying and mining operations then piled up around them. By design, the quality of the blockwork would improve towards the perimeter, then the whole thing was surrounded by very tight-fitting casing stones, which not only improved aesthetics, but most importantly kept the rainwater out. The climate of North Africa may not always have been as dry as it is today. Rather than ancient power plants, levitation chambers, water pumps, or even cosmic ray collectors that delivered ultra-low frequency vibrations to the ground in order to increase crop yields, it seems the Egyptian pyramids were just very large tombs, but may have also doubled as an efficient means of waste disposal. Think like an engineer. It does its job and looks nice. Everyone's happy. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe to this channel.